Good day everyone, I am Justin Bilatao and I will be your first reporter for this topic. Cardiovascular system. System is a double circuit, one irrigating the lungs and the other irrigating the rest of the body. The cardiovascular system delivers oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and other important substances to cells and organs of the body. It plays an important role in helping the body meet the demands of activity, exercise, and stress.
Functions of heart: generating blood pressure, routing blood, separates pulmonary and systemic circulations, ensuring one-way blood flow, valves, regulating blood supply, and changes in contraction rate and force much blood delivery to changing metabolic needs. Next, there are types of cardiac muscles, and those are atrial musculature and ventricular musculature. The atrial musculature described as much thinner in the atria, while the ventricular musculature found in the myocardium of the ventricle is thick so that it allows the forceful contractions. So let's talk about the syncytium of the heart. The first one is the atrial syncytium and the second one is the ventricular syncytium. The atrial syncytium is the atrial wall, while the ventricular syncytium is the ventricular wall. When we say atrial syncytium, it defines as the network of cardiac muscle cells connected by gap junctions called intercalated discs that lends to the coordinated contraction of the atria. It is also separated from the ventricle by tissue surrounding the AV openings. On the other hand, ventricular syncytium, also defined as the network of cardiac muscle cells connected by gap junctions that lends to the coordinated contractions of the ventricles.
Parts and functions of the cardiovascular system. Heart. Heart is situated in the thorax between the lungs and is protected by the rib cage. In some animals, it is placed slightly to the left-hand side. A tough membrane called the pericardium covers it. The pericardium is a thin, two-layered fluid-filled sac that covers the outer surface of the heart. It provides lubrication for the heart, shields the heart from infection and malignancy, and contains the heart in the chest wall. Elastic arteries conduct blood and maintain pressure during the stone. Elastic arteries are those nearest the heart that contain much more elastic tissue in the tunica media than muscular arteries. This feature of the elastic arteries allows them to maintain a relatively constant pressure gradient despite the constant pumping action of the heart. The walls of elastic arteries are composed of three layers. First is the tunica intima, which is a single cell layer of endothelial cells adjacent to the arterial lumen. Next is the tunica media, which is composed of concentric layers of collagen and elastic fibers composed of smooth muscle cells and elastin. Last is the tunica adventitia, or the tunica externa. It is the outer layer of the blood vessel wall. It consists of connective tissue with the vasa and nervivosarium and plays a key role in vascular health. Muscular arteries. It distributes blood and maintain pressure. A muscular artery is a medium-sized artery that draws blood from an elastic artery and branches into resistance vessels, including small arteries and arterioles. The walls contain larger number of smooth muscles, allowing them to contract and expand depending on peripheral blood demand. And the main difference between elastic and muscular arteries is that elastic arteries occurs closest to the heart, experiencing a great pressure while the heart forces blood into them, whereas muscular arteries are responsible for transmitting blood to different types of organs in the body.
Good day, everyone. This is Margo Angelica F. Justo. Arterioles are small blood vessels that are smaller than arteries but larger than capillaries, at nahahanap sila all over the body. Since they connect arteries with capillaries, they have an influence on blood pressure and speed at which blood flows through the vessels. Capillaries are small blood vessels that deliver blood, nutrients, and oxygen to cells throughout the body. They work in different ways to support organs and system functioning. The capillaries also take waste products away from your tissues. Capillaries are where oxygen and nutrients are exchanged for carbon dioxide and waste. Venules are the smallest veins and receive blood from capillaries. They also play a role in the exchange of oxygen and nutrients for water products. Venules are extremely porous so that fluid and blood cells can be moved easily from the bloodstream through their walls. Venules range from 7 micrometer to 1 millimeter in diameter. Veins are blood vessels that bring blood back to the heart. The major veins drain blood from the same organs and limbs that the major arteries supply. Fluid is also brought back to the heart via the lymphatic system. The structure of the different types of blood vessels reflects their function or layers.
Good day everyone, I'm Christine Aymonjito-Genya and I'm here to discuss the aorta. The aorta is an unpaired structure derived from the left fourth aortic arch of the primitive structure. It is considered as the largest blood vessel in the body. It is responsible for transporting oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the rest of the body. The physiology of aorta, it is the most proximal artery connected directly to the heart and acts both as conduit and an elastic chamber. Also, there is a disease named aortic stenosis which is more common in dog breeds. This is described as the narrowing at the aortic valve of the heart. The aortic valve is the valve through which blood leaves the heart traveling to the rest of the body. So when it is narrowed, the heart must work harder to force blood out through the valve. This is an additional work that can have a number of harmful effects on the heart, leading to muscle failure and other complications. Next, we have the cardiovascular system conducts blood and is comprises the heart, arteries, veins, and capillary beds. The heart is responsible in pumping blood throughout the body. It also works with the other body systems to control heart rate and blood pressure. The arteries is responsible in carrying oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the body. The veins, these are blood vessels, return oxygen-depleted blood to the heart. And lastly, the capillary beds, these facilitate the exchange of nutrients, gases, wastes, and hormones between the blood and tissue cells. As we all know, this is an organ that pumps blood through the circulatory system. The other function of the heart is it maintains the blood pressure. The heart has two types of valves which are the atrioventricular valve and the semilunar valve. Now let us proceed in the atrioventricular valve or also known as the AV valve. In determining what is AV valve, disconnect the anterium to the ventricles and include the mitral valve and the tricuspid valve. It is located between the atria and ventricles, which is atria is the receiving chamber while ventricles is the pumping chambers. Now the tricuspid valve, it is between the right atrium and the right ventricle. In short, it is located on the right side of the heart and it is made up of three cusps and lies between the right atria and the right ventricle. While the bicuspid valve, it is located on the left side of the heart and it is made up of two cusps and lies between the left atria and the left ventricle.
Good day everyone, I am Lady Den Miguel Mamaril and I will discuss the semilunar valve. Semilunar valve are heart valves consisting of valves that prevent blood backflow. It is also a half-moon-shaped leaflets of endocardium and connective tissues that's situated between the aorta and the left ventricle, between the pulmonary artery and the right ventricle. These valves permit blood to be forced into the arteries but prevent backflow from the arteries into the ventricle. There are two types of semilunar valves, the aortic valve and the pulmonary or pulmonic valve. So first one is the aortic valve. Aortic valve is the blood leaves the heart traveling to the rest of the body. So this valve, it helps keep blood flowing in the correct direction through the heart. It separates the heart's main pumping chamber or called it left ventricle and the main that supplies oxygen-rich blood in our body or aorta. So what happens when aortic valve fails? If aortic valve won't open normally, our heart can pump all the blood building up inside it. Kaya pwede tayong magkaroon ng aortic valve stenosis which is serious valve problems. Kapag konti lang yung nasusupply na blood galing sa heart kasi hindi nakakapag-pump ito ng maayos, syempre konti lang o walang nakukuhang nourishment yung katawan natin. Then yung may mga patient na may ganitong sitwasyon, nag-undergo sila ng diagnosis for 2 to 3 years. So, kadalasan yung mga taong nagkakaganito is yung mga 50 to 70 years old. Then, in our animals, aortic valve stenosis or disease will be prone to dizziness and fainting or namamatay sila because of their heart failure. Second valve is the pulmonary or pulmonic valve. Pulmonic valve is the flow of blood from the heart into the lungs. It is also one of 4 valves that regulate also blood flows in the heart. Kung yung aortic valve is sa left ventricle, ito naman ay nasa right ventricle and pulmonary artery. Pulmonary valve disease is a serious problem. This condition can interrupt blood flow from the heart to lungs. The heart wall is divided into 3 layers, the epicardium, myocardium, and the endocardium. Epicardium, it is the outer protective layer of the heart. Also, producing factors that help the cardiac cells properly develop and ensuring proper response to cardiac cell injury. Epicardium accurately described as roots of the great blood vessels. Next is the myocardium. Myocardium is a muscular middle layer wall of the heart. So, it contracts to pump blood out of the heart and then relax as the heart refills when returning blood o tinatawag siyang cardiac muscle tissue. The last is the endocardium, which is the inner layer of the heart. The anatomic function of endocardium is a tissue that covering the inside of the heart. It keeps the blood flowing through the heart separate from the myocardium. It is also provides protection to the other valves and heart chambers. Mammalians and birds' heart is composed by 4 chambers. The heart is essential for keeping humans and most animals alive. Mammals and birds have 4 main parts to their heart, a left and a right atrium, and a left and a right ventricle. Their hearts mostly consist of muscle that contracts and relaxes, that causing blood to move through blood vessels from the lungs and around their body.
Amphibians and reptiles' heart composed of 3 chambers, 2 atria and a single ventricle. The atrium received the oxygenated blood from the blood vessels that drain the various organs of the body, and the left atrium received oxygenated blood from the lungs and skin. While the single ventricle in amphibians and reptiles' heart means the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood mix. How can amphibians accommodate this inefficiency? They transport oxygen across the skin. Fish heart is composed by 2 chambers. The fish have a single circuit for a blood flow and a 2-chambered heart that has a only single atrium and a single ventricle. First is the atrium. Atrium collects the blood that has returned from the body, while the ventricle pumps the blood to the gills where the gas exchange occurs and the blood is reoxygenated. This is called gill circulation. Next is artery. Built for high pressure pump, it has a thicker wall, narrower diameter, and provides strength for high pressure pumping of blood. Arteries are strong muscular blood vessels carry oxygen-rich blood from the heart of the body. They handle a large amount of force and pressure from the blood flow but don't carry a large volume of blood. The arteries are found in all parts of the body except in the hair, nails, epidermis, cartilage, and cornea. Elasticity, or what we call elastic recoil, helps maintain blood pressure even when heart relaxes. The elastic recoil of the arteries allows the artery to expand as normal but then exert an inward force to create blood pressure. The artery is slowly returning back to its original shape, which is continually maintaining pressure.
Thank you, Miss Jacobe. So let's talk about the artery wall. Artery wall is made up of three layers. The first one is tunica intima, the second one is tunica media, and the third one is the tunica adventitia. So when we say tunica intima, it is the inner layer consisting of an endothelial lining which provides a frictionless pathway for the movement of blood, while the tunica media, the middle layer, composed of elastic and muscular tissue which regulates the internal diameter of the vessel. And lastly, the tunica adventitia, or the outer layer, it provides structural support and shape to the vessel. Moving forward, let's talk about the vein. Vein built for low pressure flow. It has a thinner wall, wider diameter, and valves, blood vessels that bring blood back to the heart. So veins, sa Tagalog, ito ay tinatawag na ugat. Ito ay parte ng katawan ng tao o hayop na kung saan dumadaloy ang dugo. And when we say small veins, these are the so-called venules.
So two main veins are large vein. Cranial superior vena cava transports all the blood from cranial superior to the diaphragm back to the right atrium of the heart. It begins where the two brachiocephalic veins join in the cranial superior thoracic region. So the next naman is the caudal inferior vena cava. It carries blood from the torso and lower body to the right side of the heart, medial to the right lung. So this one naman, it begins where the two common iliac veins join in the caudal inferior abdominal region. So let's not be confused with these two main veins. Yung cranial is to the diaphragm back to the right atrium of the heart, while the caudal naman is from the torso and lower body to the right side of the heart, medial to the right lung. Okay, so ito po tayo. Capillaries. Capillaries are tiny thin-walled vessels that form a network to take blood through the organs and other body tissues. So, under naman po ng capillaries is the capillary bed. It is the network of capillaries. So, ito po makikita po natin kung saang part po yung capillaries sa capillary bed. Let's not be confused po sa parts nila. Okay, this is Anwar Tikalana will be discussing the next part. Assign natin. So, functions of capillary bed. The sites for the exchange of nutrients, waste, and oxygen with tissues at the cellular level. It is an interwoven network of capillaries that supplies an organ. The more metabolically active the cells, the more capillaries required to supply nutrients and carry away waste products. So, ayun nga po. Oxygen and other nutrients are released and carbon dioxide plus yung iba pang waste products ay naipapasa sa blood or dugo. Tapos, mag-enter sila sa vein. To take note then, it's quite a bit different from other organs as it can only transfer from one blood cell at a time. So, next naman po is check po natin itong diagram. Importance of cardiovascular system. So, ito po. Makikita natin yung diagram ng heart. So, next is the heart. As you can see in this diagram, atrial and auricular aspect Atrial is front, while auricular is the back view. Even though it's flipped, most of the parts are just the same except for the atrium and auricula. Makikita niyo po yun sa bandang gilid. And right auricula and left auricula. Tapos sa kabila naman po ang nakalagay is right atrium and right. So, ayun nga po. So, don't be confused po sa parts. Mostly po magkaparas lang siya. Don't be confused lang. Do it. Try this one. To put it simply, try nyo po i-form into thumbs up yung dalawang kamay nyo. Of course, sarado yung face. And think of the thumb part as the aorta. And just visualize the other parts. And laging tatandaan, the right one is the atrium and then the left one is the auricular aspect of the heart. Then the next ito po. Importance of cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system is the main system for communication between different parts of the body of animals. It pumps and conducts the blood to irrigate every part of the body. Blood is necessary for transporting food, waste products, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hormones, and immune system cells. And next one. The cardiovascular system is the main system for communication between different parts of the body of the animals. It pumps and conducts the blood to irrigate every part of the body. Blood is necessary for transporting food, waste products, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hormones, and immune system cells. So, ayun nga po. If the other parts nga po ng katawan natin, such as artery, capillaries, or yung mga nabanggit pa po, the heart functions differently. It also transports, pero it's the center ng lahat. It acts as a pump para makapag-function yung ibang body parts. That's all po. Thank you.